Here we go.
What were you saying about the DMV?
Oh my
and
gosh.
how bad they are?
Guys, I'm so frustrated right now.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous that the DMV... First of all, okay, I have to get new registration stickers for one of my vehicles.
Right.
And across the state, I guess, they're not issuing stickers right now. They're issuing large printout, basically just like from a printer, pieces of paper that
You're
you have
kidding.
to tape to the back of your windshield, or not? Yeah, your rear view. Your rear. Is that your windshield? What's it called in the back?
Back shield. Rear shield.
What is it called, guys? That's ridiculous.
I call
your
it
back window, I guess.
That sounds legit.
That sounds accurate.
Yeah.
You have to literally just put tape and a large piece of paper on your back window now, because
Like you just bought the car.
For some reason, yeah, like you just bought the car, until they decide that they start producing stickers. For some absurd reason, they're saying, because of COVID, we can't produce stickers. You know what?
Whoa.
I can go to work and I can drain someone's abscess still during a pandemic, but
well, no, that's
for
the
some
best time
reason
to do
they
it.
can't print on a
No.
sticker.
No, seriously, the best time to drain an abscess is during a pandemic.
Is it?
Yeah. Actually, it's best during an air quotes pandemic, because that's what I'm calling it now.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
I would not agree that it's an air quotes pandemic by
Really,
any sense.
really.
Any sense, but I would agree that there is a difference on severity.
Here's a question for you.
You go, because then I got a question for you.
Here's my question.
You give me a question.
How many influenza positive tests were reported in Portland this month?
Influenza positive this month?
Yeah.
In Portland? Wow, I would say very low numbers. I haven't personally had anybody test positive yet.
Okay.
But how many have
Portland.
you had in Portland?
In Portland.
I don't know, because I don't keep track of Portland.
I know. But just like based on their population, we're nearing, people can get influenza all year round.
Yeah.
So you would even expect to see some in July, right?
Very rare cases.
Right. But in a population the size of Portland.
Yeah.
So what would you guess it would be in July? Just ballpark.
Gosh, that's a hard one for me to say in Portland.
Just guess based on their
for
population.
all the systems, so I think Portland's like 1 million, right?
Right, yeah.
Maybe 1.2 million, something like that.
Yeah.
In July, positive influenza cases?
Yeah.
What type of influenza?
Influenza A. Like
Influenza A?
Well, or no, just like the flu, okay? Whatever they consider the flu.
Well, they would combine several. If you just did that, you would combine several.
Okay, so they do that.
And they're not including coronavirus?
Not including coronavirus.
So if they do a flu panel, there's 8 different types that they would run for. In just July.
Just July.
If you're counting all those different types of carry the 2. I'm gonna say out of 1 million people.
Yeah. This is just July.
Right. 2,000.
Okay. Now move to December. Right now.
I don't know if that's accurate.
Okay,
what was that? Is that accurate?
I didn't check July, but I was. No. Hang on. I'm trying to gauge your guess for July.
Okay.
Based on, so I looked at up till now.
Okay.
In this last month, how many do you think there are?
Of all 8.
Yeah.
Influenza.
Flu. If you got a flu result report that came to you, it'd be all 8. How many do you think there are right now in Portland?
Portland.
Yep.
In December.
Yep.
Well, December we're starting in the flu season.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't expect this to take you so long.
These guessing games, I like these.
Oh, I know.
Games.
I know you do.
Oh, gosh. Guys, I know you're listening. So.
This one I have the answer for.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to say, because you're testing for so many strands.
Yeah. All the strands. Carry the 3.
Carry the 3, but subtract the 9 tangent.
Right. Yeah. The cosine of 6.
I'm going to say 30,000.
Okay. Do you want to know the answer?
Yeah.
Reported. On the report. Mm-hmm. Dead report. I looked at today. Mm-hmm. 0.
Of influenza?
Yep.
Huh?
0.
Wow.
What are the chances of that?
Well,
in a quote-unquote pandemic.
Well, those are those specific
I want to congratulate the COVID-19 virus for completely wiping out the flu.
Well, there's a couple things to that, a couple components. we're starting in the flu season, but I have not had anybody test positive myself, and I've been testing people.
But I'm talking Portland.
Right. But in Portland, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many it should be right now. Because I guess if flu
should
season,
it be 0?
If it's 0 where I'm at, I guess maybe it could be 0 in Portland.
In all of Portland, the chances of that.
Well, but I'm talking Marion County, and I haven't seen a single positive in Marion County.
Do you get a report for Marion County?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't.
But are they testing for it?
I can only account for what I've tested for.
Right.
I guess I've probably tested maybe 100. I would say in the past. That's probably too many. I probably tested maybe 70.
Right.
In the past month, because I'm curious if it's coming on.
Yeah.
And then once you see it start coming on,
now mind you, that's just people that would come in and get tested. So.
Yeah, but out of that 70,
yeah,
no one has tested positive. So it's not surprising me that Portland wouldn't have come back negative. But I also am curious with their numbers, how prevalent certain flu. I would surprised that they would have had at least something on that panel, a viral panel.
That is the full report.
Okay, so this is talking about RSV, so that makes sense. So RSV should be 0 right now.
Okay.
Influenza-associated pediatric mortalities, that should be 0 right now. And then what are they qualifying as a flu outbreak? So their tests right now are 0.2% right now. So they've only tested basically
I would be curious because I didn't go
100
check.
people. If
you're
looking at
how many the same time last year they did?
Well, it shows right here.
Does it?
Yeah, it shows you percentiles.
2018?
Yeah. It shows 2018, the blue knots.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, the numbers are actually very trending. This match is the same.
No, so, I would be curious how much they tested last year. It doesn't show that.
Well, no, the yellow dot would show 2018.
Not the tested, though.
No, but it would show the positivity rate.
Right.
And which is similar to trending right now.
Right.
But this is what I would say. I would definitely not call it a false COVID pandemic by any stretch of the sense. Because for several reasons.
I think using pandemic.
Well, pan means affecting everywhere. Yeah, and it has. It's true.
Then that's every.
So, but
here's
the thing. This is a really good analogy I was thinking about for your situation, and for everybody's situation when they're not really around people that are sick frequently. Okay?
My uncle said none were reported in Washington either.
That would make sense. If I haven't, maybe it's just makes sense. If I'm not seeing anyone,
yeah.
Then maybe
either they're not testing for it.
That's the other thing. They might not be
because
testing for it.
They just want everything to be COVID.
Well, no, but if you have a positive... No, you're not going to diagnose someone positive for COVID if they come back negative for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I think... This is why I think your situation and the way you think about it, and I get it. It makes sense. So in my world, I don't really see that many people complaining or having that many problems with their software at the Capitol or with their printers or with their fax machines.
Yeah.
Or having issues with some software program. It seems like most of their IT works really good. I literally hear no one ever complaining about that. Mm-hmm. But I also don't work in the state capitol as an IT tech, and so I'm not hearing the situations, and I'm not seeing the faulty software all day long. Someone that works in IT might be seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
In the same respect, you don't see people coming in
for
respiratory complaints.
I don't, but I can look
positive.
at say the death rates for the year and see that they're
but
actually trending.
That's different. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I'm just saying I can go look at the raw data.
Yeah.
So you could say Windows 10 had this. You could go look at the data and say this is how many breaches, this is how many infections happened. You could do that for both of them, and you could draw a conclusion that.
But
Apple is more secure.
But that's different because what I'm saying is that because in my world I don't see the actual
I know
software failures
but
at the Capitol.
I guess what I'm pointing
you're
out
not seeing
is that I'm not going off of what I'm seeing. I'm going off of what do the numbers say.
Well, then that's even more. That should reinforce your situation even more. That you are seeing substantial number of positive cases. I'm not talking about mortality.
Right.
I'm talking about positive cases.
Right.
That
so
were not present previously.
Then it brings me back to if there isn't deaths or anything, is it just like the cold? Because you could
That's a
call
good
the
question.
cold. You could call the cold a pandemic.
That's a really good question.
because it affects everybody.
I'm really glad you brought that up. So here's kind of, I guess, where people find a you kind of have to decide what's your risk factor and where do you feel concerned about it, right?
I'm glad that you're using that personally and not widespread to everybody.
Yeah. So this is what you have to kind of decide. What is your risk factors?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to obviously show respect to people that have their own risk factors.
Right.
But in this situation, like a great example, there was a really good what's it called? Radiolab. There was a really good Radiolab that just came out this week. You guys should listen to it. And it talked about the guy that invented the vaccines for mumps.
Right.
Okay. And mumps was the quickest vaccine to ever be developed ever in the world. The first vaccine to be developed, the quickest was within 4 years, and that was for the mumps, okay?
Right.
Now, that vaccine, that virus didn't actually kill people.
He didn't have Operation Warp Speed.
No, he didn't. But no, here's kind of a good like comparison and analogy.
Yeah.
That vaccine or that virus, mumps, doesn't typically kill individuals. It's not usually lethal.
Right.
In some cases, in rare cases, you can get encephalopathy, you can get an infection in your brain, and then it can cause mental retardation to kids. And there rare cases death, but very rare.
Right.
Okay. But it was a national crisis and a worldwide crisis, actually, mumps was as well.
Right.
But it was a situation that they knew it didn't cause frequently death. One of the biggest things that really freaked people out, especially in the military, do you know what it was?
What?
So this is what really pushed the nation to get a vaccine for it. Oftentimes, people that got mumps developed hypergonadism, where their testicles swelled to the size of grapefruit. Each testicle. So you would have two grapefruits.
Just the males, though.
Just the males.
Right.
It was a high risk
Two
factor.
genders.
So the
male,
common
female.
the common thing was, but it was military was mostly men, right?
Right.
And so the military is like, hey, we're not going out into these countries getting mumps and having testicles the size of grapefruit. And then the common other thing is you'll develop like these goiters under your neck, like your lymph nodes develop your salivary gland, and not your salivary gland, but your lymph nodes.
I really
under your
like
neck.
the direction we've headed with this podcast. So far.
But here's the thing. Not only that, then it led to sterility though.
Oh.
So a lot of men that were getting mumps lost function of being able to have kids, right?
Weird.
So the thing is that with this pandemic, it's stuck around year round, which is unique.
Yeah.
It's not killing everybody, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's killing less people actually.
It's killing
with more people having it.
It's killing people. It is killing people, but there are side effects that we're seeing from it, long-lasting side effects. As far as like respiratory symptoms, significant scarring in the lungs, we're seeing this kind of persist. So the question isn't should you value it based on how many deaths are there, but how much actually infections are there, and then what are the effects on those individuals?
Should you? Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, it doesn't. We don't know some of those long-term things. We do know that it affects some people, but that's
hopefully it won't cause their testicles.
But I will say, like, to that,
function.
If that was the case, wouldn't you think that now that we've been in a year, that the trends of deaths would be higher in certain ages than it was with other people than other years?
Other years. Here's a couple of reasons why I would say it's hard for us to judge that number accurately.
Right.
Because we've been in lockdown more than the world has ever been in the past. So the rate and the possibility of transmission has been significantly curved because of that.
Yeah.
So maybe actually what we've done has been effective.
But we're at the same amount. That's the thing. We're trending it within the margin of error, exactly the same as we always have in all age groups.
But specify when you say we're trending at the same amount of what?
Of deaths.
Yeah.
Based on age groups.
So
like it's changed zero.
Our death maybe averages have not changed, right?
But I'm saying if that was the case,
but maybe our interventions have.
You would think that those would shift to a different age group or something.
Why?
Or move around. Well, because if the deaths were different, say there were car accidents, it was mostly younger people in their 40s. You would think that you would see some of those deaths go away, and that the deaths would go higher in an older age because that's where COVID affects people. But they're all within the margin of error.
No, I think you're thinking about it a little bit off. So if you have less exposure to those individuals, then the number of those deaths will be lower.
But I'm saying they're all the same. They're all within the margin of error and projections. They're no different.
I don't think that's specific enough. Like you're not looking at the entire factor.
So what you,
I guess.
I guess
There's
what,
multiple
I guess what I'm
factors in
asking is you are alleging that the amount of deaths that happened are the same, spread specifically between all the ages, just the same as they would have been if we were out doing other lives with other people, and it just so happened to trend within the margin of error of where it's always been.
Sorry, say that again.
So if it's the same now, and you're saying, well, everyone's been in lockdown, so certain people, maybe the deaths are from COVID. And
Jeremy Anderson said rear window.
Yeah, rear window. Thanks, man. So you're saying the deaths are all the same because they're COVID. Maybe we've prevented these COVID deaths and all that kind of stuff. But people have been indoors. But why have they all landed within the margin of error? Like, I mean, it lines up like it's a perfect picture if you just lay them over each other. They're within a margin of error of last year's death results.
Last year death results for influenza or
For
what?
all deaths in the world.
Oh, so you're saying the world as a whole is having the same number of deaths as the world as a whole last year.
And spread perfectly within the margin of error between all the age groups, just as so we would have.
I don't know the factors as far as why the world as a whole. I'm not saying the current pandemic has caused the world as a whole to have more deaths than last year, but I think we've also done a significant amount of potential mitigation for that.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's a tough one to say or to
Yeah.
to
I guess my argument is I am not in the camp that locking everyone down is a great idea.
Well, and that's
So,
where you
because-
and I are.
because-
That's where you and I though are in the same boat.
Oh yeah, I know.
I don't agree with locking everybody
Yeah.
down, but I also don't agree with denying that the fact that people are getting infected.
I guess I'm not denying that COVID is there.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
I'm denying that it's a scary thing.
I think that's a great thing for you to deny for yourself, but I don't.
That's
think
fine.
I think that statement can't be made for others.
Right, but and that's fine because that goes for everything in life. I had this discussion with the lady the other day. She said, "Well,
she likes salsa and you don't."
No, she said, "My son is on chemo. Why won't you wear a mask?" And I said, "Hey, this has been going on for a while. There's tons of different like sicknesses that are going around, and that was me that clicked it. And there's been tons of things going on around. And just even before COVID, if it was my child, I would take precautions and probably not take them into public, into certain areas, especially during larger treatment.
Totally.
So don't treat it any different. It's not that I'm being like insensitive to you. I'm living my life, and there are risks that I have to take for my kids in my life, and there are risks that you have to take that are different. So why are you saying that I'm now insensitive for wearing a mask or not wearing a mask? It's a cult. Like the mask thing has just become a cult.
The mask thing, that's one that I have a little bit of a. I'm not sure where I land on that one yet. I definitely don't agree with the restrictions as far as the making businesses operate versus not operate. I think that's at this point where we've learned and where we've discovered and how we should acclimate to the situation. I think it's unfortunate and it's not helpful to our country. It's become
unfair.
Yeah, and it's become unfair. There's certain things businesses that have left open and not.
There's a link in the or an article that I'll link in a video of a lady who is down in LA, and she spent thousands of dollars
setting up the tent.
put together these outdoor tent areas that are which is the same. It's the same dang thing. If you have a tent with walls on it, you're indoors. I mean, you're complying with something stupid. And she spent all these thousands of dollars, and then they shut her down, said she couldn't do it, but then okayed Hollywood 100 feet away
outdoor production.
to do an outdoor production with tables and a restaurant for their outdoor production.
Right.
It's like, that's just
silly. But as far as the masks go, this is where I'm kind of leaning towards on those ones. It's not, when you said it's a cult.
It's a cult in the sense that they guilt you if you don't want to wear one. So the argument is that you don't care about people if you don't wear a mask. Like, how about you wear a mask if you want to, and I won't if I don't want to?
This is where I feel a little bit. I think there's situations where masks. I think a business has every right and should have the right to tell somebody if they want their customers to wear a mask in the business or not.
That's fine. Then we could vote. Then we could vote for dollars.
Yes, exactly. And then you choose.
I mean, they can do that now. They can tell me I have to wear clothes.
And they do.
I know. Yeah.
And you get very frustrated by that.
I do.
Frequently.
I really just like to wear tennis shoes and a T-shirt. I can't do that at Costco.
But this is where the government kind of comes into play. So if they feel like the infection rates will dramatically be decreased potentially and maybe save money in the long run by not overwhelming certain healthcare systems, if that's happening. In some states, there is a limit in the amount of resources they have, even currently taking place in some of the healthcare systems. Idaho actually is a pretty tough spot right now as well.
I've learned to take some of those with a grain of salt. Someone that I knew that worked in like a local news thing said, only believe what the local news says because everything else is regurgitated. You don't, and his point was, you don't know unless you're on the ground.
Exactly. So that goes both ways.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that I have the government's responsibilities to protect the people, right? Like that's one of their main things is to protect the nation
from outside.
Well, no, internal as well.
Yeah.
So that's one of their responsibilities. That's where FEMA comes in too, right?
That's more so aiding and helping clean up a mess.
Protect. Yeah. So that's within the realm of protection. Like, Anyhow, so if the government doesn't say we recommend this type of thing, or a state government doesn't recommend that some action takes place, right? If the state government doesn't recommend it, then I think that the populace as a whole is not going to even consider starting it. Like, it's a tough one to how do you start a public health movement without either some form of government being involved?
Here's the deal. I think where I've come down to it is they went too far, so it makes me want to do none of it. And I think that's where a lot of people are at. So they're like, you know what? Screw it. If you want me to wear a mask, but you're also want me to lock down, and you're screwing all these people over in these businesses and the places that I want to go, and you're messing with my life, and I can't make my own decisions, then I'm sort of done with you.
Yeah.
And so what they're going to do is they're going to have the backlash, and kids do it too.
Yeah.
If you push a kid too far, they rebel.
Yes, I agree. But that goes to the same extent with like abortion. Women want to have their rights, but the states try to tell them they can't have an abortion, so they're trying to push back. And then it goes the same way with gun rights. Gun rights people try to say, "Hey, you can't have guns. This is a gun-free city." You know.
But that's
that
different.
Goes on both
that's
extremes.
Like it's when you're requiring someone to do something. Because if all of a sudden they started to try to take the guns from people, they'd be like, "Okay, well, it's time for war." That's the point at which it would be. And I think what a lot of these states are getting to is a point, and I don't think that they realize it. They're like on this like feather tip the scale moment where they're just, it's not going to just be the weirdo Antifa like out there not even knowing why they're rioting. Like, it's going to be other people that actually know why they're doing it, and they're at that break point.
Yeah. Well, I would have to say your uncle made a good comment. Gary said, he thinks that there are longer term effects potentially from this virus compared to flu. And from what I've seen so far, I would agree with that. Yeah. I've seen more long term effects. But I've also seen the majority of the people out of the probably, I don't even know the number of people that have tested positive. Those people, vast majority of them recover really well in a week to 2 weeks.
What I would think,
but there are the percentages that have this long-term effect that I never see with the flu.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, but we see weird things like that with like anything. People will have problems with colds and ended up with something. Maybe not as high a percent.
Not as high a percentage.
But like people's bodies were all like an experiment. We're all an N equals 1 experiment.
The other thing is that
things that affect me affect you different.
The policies that we have to look forward to, there are going to be ebbs and flows in policies, and I think people have to be okay with having some things necessarily change in their life, and you can't always expect everything to always be the way you want it. So for example, Jordan, I know you automatically aren't liking that.
No.
But I do think that I think it's really frustrating to me when someone says, let's use your mask thing that you're talking about as an example. People are saying, I have a health condition, so I can't wear a mask. But then someone else says, I have a health condition, so we should follow the mandates of us all wearing a mask. So you have two forces. But in reality, the person that says, I have a health condition, so I can't wear a mask, show me the actual health condition that prevents you from wearing a mask that's going to harm you. That's not an accurate thing.
Yeah, but that's
not true.
That's sort of a bad argument.
That's not a true
I think what I'm saying is, tomorrow, if it was up to me, I'd say everything goes back to the way it was. If you want to wear a mask, then that's fine. You have equal opportunity and equal rights when you wear a mask. Don't make fun of someone if they want to wear a mask. And if you feel like you are in danger, then don't go to that spot.
I think
The
you
end.
could do that, but I think
that's
businesses still need to have the choice of doing that or not.
That's what we've always done.
No, but here's the thing. But businesses, you could do that, but I think businesses have to be able to still make their own choices.
They already did. If they want to make that choice, I guarantee you none of them would.
No, I guarantee there would be a lot that would.
I disagree. But I mean, it's a what if, like, who's right or wrong. But there's already businesses now that are like, we're done with it. We're there's restaurant chains in Washington that are like, we're done with it. We don't care. Give us the fines if you want. We'll go to court with you.
Did you hear about the courthouse in Salem?
Yeah.
I think
they're still open, I think.
I don't know.
I'm pretty confident they are.
Are they? Well, anyways, they got, I think, slapped with some fines. Maybe. I'm not totally sure on that one. But, so...
So my uncle had a good point. He's like, government has made winners and losers out of COVID pandemic. That's true.
Very true.
And that's the problem.
That's frustrating.
Make a level playing field. If you feel unsafe going out, don't go out. There's so many services that will just deliver to your house. The end.
You
literally don't have to leave your house anymore. We're at that point in this world where you could have pretty much everything just given to you, and you would never have to leave your house. So if you're really that scared, you could stay at your house.
Yeah, if your job allows that sort of thing, I guess, right?
Well, you could wear a mask at your job. It's your right.
Well, but this is what's interesting about it. There are things that I feel like have been very advantageous.
I think there has been. I think we've learned some things.
We've learned a lot of things. So, like, for example, it used to be poor form to wear a mask. Like, even in the hospital setting. Like, basically, you would get people that would make complaints and saying you were rude because you wore a mask when you were examining their mouth.
Yeah.
Or, like, you'd be looking into someone's
in
mouth.
your profession, I would wear a mask all the time.
They would cough on you, and then it would be rude if you wore a mask.
But see, that's being around sickness.
No, but that's interesting. Like, that... No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, where does your line... change? Like, where does the risk then
because there are
like,
more sick people at a hospital or a doctor's office.
So you feel like it's the number of sick people that
well,
make
I'm just
it.
saying so I would wear a bulletproof vest if I went into war, but I don't wear one walking down the street, but there's still a chance of getting shot. It's just way lower, right?
Yeah. Significantly lower than the risk of contracting a virus.
No, it's not. If it is. You have a high chance.
No. You get way more viruses out in public than you would get shot out in public.
But ones that affect me.
Yeah, I mean, you get sick every year.
Not a lot different.
You get sick every year. You don't get shot every year.
No, that's true. But I'm saying it's not. It's you do things based on your location. As Dimitri Martin said, it's location, location, location. You could look at super strange if you wore a bathing suit to the supermarket and flip flops, but if you went to the pool, you'd look normal.
That's true. It's very true. Speaking of getting shot, though.
Yeah. You got shot?
No. Well, I've had shots.
Me too.
And that will be interesting to see what the government requires pertaining to shots for coming up immunizations, which, if that's a pathway that allows everything to get back to normal,
I don't think they'll mandate it.
I think for certain places, I think certain employers will. And that'll be interesting as far as a legal standpoint goes.
I'd argue it.
So interesting though. China. Did you hear what China's been doing as far as like soldiers going?
I see the title of your article. That's how much I know about it. Tell me what you know about it,
dude. Super cool. So basically, China has been using a form of CRISPR, which we've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
As a tool for gene editing.
Yeah.
And essentially one of the top kind of like Central U.S. intelligence guys has been talking about how Beijing has been using this way of editing genes to create biologically enhanced soldiers for China. And so it's like, there was a movie, and I think it was maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme, or maybe it was
it the
Arnold
one where
Schwarzenegger.
Putting the brains into people.
If you guys remember that movie, there's a movie about like enhanced warriors and
Super Soldier.
Maybe it's Super Soldier. Like they go to like
sounds right.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
I'd watch that.
That sounds
movie.
good. Sounds great.
It sounds terrifying.
Anyways, China's getting it. So the thing is we have all these rules, right, that inhibit the U.S.
For
from doing these sort of things.
really good reasons.
Right. But if those rules inhibit us from being able to outperform and get behind these other countries,
no.
That's
I don't think that's a good reason.
That's scary, man.
That's not a good reason.
All I'm saying, throw some CRISPR my way. Give me night vision.
Give me.
You
just want superpowers.
Give me some wings. I'll be ready to roll. I'll be ready.
Speaking of
roll.
Did you hear that Mr. Giuliani, the recent up and coming star from Borat,
Yes.
that he
the Borat up and coming
actor.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was
I think
hilarious.
he might be on the
I thought it was hilarious that he was in that movie. I was like, I was
surprised
funny.
you weren't offended for him.
I don't care.
I mean, he's like one of your best buddies.
Yeah, whatever. So he said it. One of the things I think someone made the comment, but he goes like, "You gotta have a sense of humor." I'm like, I guess he just has a sense of humor. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, he got COVID today. He tested positive.
Positive.
Yeah.
The old Julie. I wonder if he'll get the same treatments and special treatment that Trump boy got.
I think he was already checked in there.
Oh, really?
Sure. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they need him there. So what's interesting about this, I'll put on my tinfoil hat for a second.
Tinfoil hat.
If you go from today out, the first time that they would be required to be in court for their next hearing, he would be cleared from today till then.
Dude, tell me, what is some new developments in this whole political world? Because I've heard a couple little things, and I got to be honest with you, media as a whole has been really kind of encouraging towards the fact that Trump has really been denied most of his appeals.
Whatever.
So I need to know, is this accurate, or tell me what the deep state's been teaching.
So the only thing that the deep state hasn't been teaching me. The deep state's been putting out the MSM.
Tell me some interesting stuff that old AON's been on board with you.
Not OAN, but no, not
or is it
even
AOC?
It's a lot of this stuff.
Andrea Acosta?
I got to be honest. You got to dig pretty deep. So I'll start, I think the biggest, most, weirdest place going on right now is Georgia. And if people go and look at that, it doesn't look, the media, they dropped for this Thursday or Friday that they had a hearing there with the legislature. And
Thursday.
They had a video that showed them sending all the reporters and the Republican poll watchers home. And then they sat there for a minute, and then they started up and counting again with these ballots that came out from underneath the table.
Can we post, because we have this video, right?
Yeah, I don't have it to play, but I'll put it up.
Okay, let's post the link of this video.
And so people couldn't identify these people, but at the time it was the immediate reaction was hilarious from the room. Because one of the Democratic senators in there, she said, "Hey, this was debunked a month ago, and I don't know what your evidence is." And the lady looks at her straight-faced, and she said, "You just watched it."
Wait, was that the lady? Okay, has been making a lot of. It was
Yes.
on SNL. The lady with the glasses and the bun up.
No.
And
She's,
tell me what is her
I'll get there in a second because
Okay.
that's Michigan. We'll go to Michigan next. So I'll do it state by state,
All right,
as quick as I can.
Georgia.
They had this video. There's been more stuff that's come out. There's a lady in there that was unidentified, but they've been identified now as a mother and daughter that worked in this polling place. And the mom had put all this stuff about it. She's so proud of her daughter. There's a video I was showing you before we went live here where you can hear the daughter actually say, this suspect guy, and I'll put the link to this video too, walks up. And about the 4-minute mark, the mom kind of leans back, grabs a thumb drive out of her purse, lays it on the table, slides it across. Her daughter palms it, turns, looks at the man and says, "We're going to get caught." And then stands up and slides it into his pocket. You have to go frame by frame, but you can see it happen into his pocket. And now people are wondering, if you're wondering, what is the deal with that? Those thumb drives are supposed to be secured thumb drives if it's what she had. It's hard to tell if it is a thumb drive, it appears to be when people have zoomed in and looked at it, but they use those to transfer the ballots. The files that store the counts on there are just comma separated values or CSV files. You can literally just pop them into a computer in Excel and change the vote counts, save the file, and go upload it to the internet, and that's now your new vote count. That's how secure those files are.
Rachel Pierce said Georgia is sus. I agree, Rachel.
Georgia is sus.
I agree. Sus.
That word sus comes from an amazing game called Among Us. and it's so good.
Okay, so
free on your phone.
Tell me what's going on with crazy blonde bunhead lady.
Well, hang on. So Georgia now, like, that's where Trump just had his big rally.
Okay, right.
And there was like 200,000 people there. There's people that are outside. They're calling them the soy boys. We're trying to beg people to wear masks in there. And
soy boy.
And he like gets down on his knee like he's proposing to a guy. He's like, would you please, for my sake, please wear a mask? And the guy looks at him. He starts laughing. He's like, no, it's okay. You've got one on. And just walks away from him. It's hilarious. I'll have to find the video and show it to you. I don't even understand what the guy was doing. I mean, I get it if he wants him to wear a mask, but the way he does it is like, who are you? What is going on? You're clearly trying to make a TikTok video. There's no way you're serious. It's pretty bad. So anyway, so that's all going on in Georgia right now. And then I showed you the whole. There's been a Chinese website that's
right.
Discovered with Brian Kemp, the governor there, on it, like basically asking for investments into Georgia, yada yada yada. It looks super sus. Okay, we'll just go with that. I think that there's going to be some crazy developments that come out of that this week. It'll be interesting. We'll move up the chain to Pennsylvania. We'll get to Michigan in a second. I'll just kind of go in order in my head.
Okay.
So Pennsylvania, they have Supreme Court that's coming up. That's going to be, it was just picked up by, not Roberts, because Roberts is the Chief Justice there. It's Alito is picked it up. And so we're going to hear more on that, I think on Wednesday is when it's supposed to be. So
basically Pennsylvania's going to Biden.
No. More than likely it will not. So like that whole case, it's getting picked up there. That's going to go to Pennsylvania. Interesting thing though, on Friday there was a meeting that happened, and we know it happened, but we don't know what it was about. Is that Trump and his legal team went and met with the Supreme Court in DC, but nobody knows what that meeting was for. What's suspected, and it's been suspected this whole time, because as we get to all these, you'll realize that they've met with all these legislatures in all the states. They think what's going to happen is the Supreme Court is going to pick up all those cases into one federal case.
Oh, interesting.
And rule on all the states at one time versus going to all of them. Because they also, in Michigan, had legislature, they met with the House, so the representatives, and then the Senate. The House, they did not want Giuliani to be there. And blonde-haired crazy lady, she's the Dominion worker. So she worked for Dominion in Michigan and was there for a 24-hour period when they were scanning ballots twice.
Right.
Or twice. She said 8 to 10 times sometimes. People would have like 400 on their counter. And she's like, you can't be doing this. And she tried to tell her boss. And she's like, we're not here to correct the count. We're just here to make sure the machines work. She's like, but this is going on. And then a bunch of ballots came in on a truck. It was supposed to be a food truck, but it was a bunch of ballots that came in open and in suitcases with no signatures, all just for Biden, no down ticket. Like, and there's like 3 different witnesses that and she's just snotty. She's nuts.
That's an unfortunate thing, because I feel like if they could have had somebody that came across more...
She's just had it. Her life has got wrecked.
Yeah, but didn't she... Okay, now tell me if this is true or if you've looked into this or not.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a situation where someone used her as well for a testimony on a different case in a different situation, and it was for some type of Republican trial case, and she had been used for testimony in that situation as well, and that ended up being not valid. Or like,
I haven't heard that.
Okay.
It might be that there's been a few of them where it gets reported as one way and it's just not the truth. It's super weird. I don't get it. If you're not going to report on it, don't report on it, but don't try to lie about something that's going on. There's been a lot of things that I've seen where it's like they say one thing. So like, for instance, they came out and said Wisconsin had certified their vote, and they hadn't.
Like on CNN?
Like at all. Like all the mainstream medias were saying Wisconsin certified the vote. And then their election board came out and basically slapped the hand of the governor and said, no, you did not. You can't do that for 5 days until we've met by our Constitution. So
they didn't certify their votes?
No, they hadn't.
The governor was saying they did
now.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they have now. So anyway, amongst all that, another group, and it's like Amastas Project or something. It's this former AG, I think, Attorney General in Michigan or Wisconsin, one of the two, I can't remember. Seems like a really cool guy. He has a bunch of people who came out and said, I work for USPS and I filled out ballots from one state to another between 150 to 250,000. They calculated that based on the size of the pallets and everything. But that guy, his name is Jesse, he had the same trailer since he worked there. And this day they changed where he picked things up from. And he said that it was weird because I never would pick up things from this place because they're not a receiving location, but I did. And they wouldn't sign off on my forms for what I was doing. And then they had me taking it from there to Pennsylvania across state lines. And when he parked, because he was out of hours, he parked because he had to rest because of driving so long. He came out and his trailer was gone. And they still don't know where his trailer is or the ballots he was delivering to Pennsylvania.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Dead
How
serious.
many were in that trailer?
They guess between 100. It was the only way they know is based on they're called Gaylords. Hilarious. These pallets that hold the mail, and they're these tall ones. And he had enough of them that they did the math how many could maximum fit in there to minimum, and it was between 150 and 250,000 ballots were being transported across state lines. And the only reason he came forward is because he's like, number one, my trailer disappeared. Number two, I still don't know why they wouldn't sign my paperwork that I had it. And I don't know why they were having me transport ballots across state lines that are filled out. That makes no sense.
That is strange.
So that came out this last week. And then you go into Wisconsin. Wisconsin's like the most cut and dry of any of them. Wisconsin's not like every other state that they had made these rules. Like so the other states where they're fighting is they made changes to their voting laws without going through the legislature, which means they're not actually changed in the law. And the legislature controls that. So whether or not if you voted that way, too bad, so sad, go cry to your government because they didn't follow the right process if it gets thrown out. It's not disenfranchising anyone. If you want to blame anyone, it's your election commission that didn't go through the right channels that screwed you over. So Wisconsin didn't change anything, and they're really hard to get absentee ballots. You have to be indefinitely confined, and you have to prove it, and you have to send in a request, and it's a whole process that like basically proves your identity, proves that you're indefinitely confined and everything. They have an average of between like 8 and 16,000 requests per year, and this year they had over 200,000.
What?
And like between 150 to 212,000 of them have no trail of being requested.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, then how were they granted?
They were just sent. That's the thing. They were given out, but they have no chain of custody trail or request trail. And it's only a 20,000 vote difference there for Trump.
Well, the question is maybe those votes went to Trump.
Maybe they didn't. But what it does is it would invalidate the vote. So if it invalidates the vote, it immediately gets kicked to the legislature.
Right.
So
interesting.
Nevada's the same way. They have 40,000 people that double voted, that either they voted twice or voted in another state and don't live there anymore. They have a total of like 96,000 questionable ballots, like 9,000 dead people, 40,000 that double voted, and then a bunch of other like odds and ends they sent out. Because what Nevada did something stupid is they just sent ballots out to every registered voter and didn't check their list.
Yeah.
So if someone had moved, there's like 40,000 people on the national change of address that got a ballot and wherever they were.
But then they
voted and they voted in a different state, or somebody else got them and turned them in.
So this is the question.
That also, if you go back and look at Georgia, there's over 20,000 that way.
I'm hearing a lot of that from Georgia.
Yeah.
But this is maybe something you can clarify and remind me of is if a single state turns out to be all of these votes are totally inaccurate. Yeah. Does that mean the entire election is inaccurate? How many states does it take?
It could be all of them. That's the thing. So I heard Frederick Douglass voted in Nevada. Who's Frederick Douglass? Why do I know that name? You tell me. Tell me who Frederick Douglass is.
Tell us who Frederick Douglass is.
And hi, Cameron. So now I lost my train of thought.
Like how many invalid votes does it take for the Senate?
Yeah. So here's how it goes.
Cast the votes.
To win the presidency, you have to have over 270 electoral votes. So that's breaking 50%, right? Because 269 is possible. You could tie,
right,
and then it goes to
the
House. Yeah. So if enough of these states are invalidated and nobody has 270, it goes to the House, and each state gets one vote.
Oh, okay. So if it brings your number down, if it brought Biden's numbers below the 270 mark.
So if all these
I
states
gotcha.
were just like, we don't know, that there's too much fraud and there's too much invalidated votes that it's tainted the vote enough that we can't figure out who the outcome is.
Right.
Then they're both below 270 and goes to the House.
Right. Okay. So basically, if enough states became invalid, it would have to go below 270 point.
Oh, he was prominent in John Brown's slavery war. Yeah, he probably shouldn't be voting then.
Yeah. Probably not.
So yeah, that's kind of where things are at. And it's interesting. It's not
It's a good
something,
update.
It's
That's a
not
good
something
update.
you hear anywhere. So, but I'll put out. This is something interesting too that came out this week, guys. You're gonna love this. I'm not a giant fan of CNN. I will watch it. I think it's a good way to figure out what the other side is saying because it's usually very weird.
One of the sides. Yeah.
It's one of the sides. People ask me like, "Are you jaded? Do you only watch one thing? Do you only listen to one thing?" No, guys, you don't understand. I watch most of it and try to decipher
Mostly Alex Jones.
And I will say, no, not even mostly. Like sometimes he's depressing, and I just turn him off. So I will say this is the most I've ever seen, and even Fox. I would even put Fox News close to CNN right now. This is the most I've ever seen reporting where things are so vastly different. They're not even talking. It's like most of the time they're not even talking about the same thing.
Oh, you're saying Fox News and CNN is different right now?
I'm saying Fox News is closer to CNN than
Yeah.
most things right now.
Yeah, I agree. I've never
There's
seen them this close.
There's a couple segments. Like if you watch Hannity and you watch
Bill Maher.
no, not Bill Maher. If you watch Hannity and Tucker Carlson, that's like what people would think Fox News is talking about, but it's not. Like those two have stayed fairly consistent with how they've always been. But if you go look at the rest of Fox News, they're pretty on par with CNN and MSNBC and all that.
Right. So they've started to have the same message more closer.
Yeah, it's super weird. And I've never seen things so polar opposite. Like if you just go look at if you go look at OAN and you go look at Newsmax and you see what they're reporting on, or even just independent journalists, it's not even the same thing. It's not that they're saying the opposite thing. Sometimes they are, but they're not even talking about the same thing. It is the weirdest polarization that I've ever seen in my life.
It is interesting. I've noticed that as well.
But with all that said, a Project Veritas, who is, if you guys remember a few weeks ago, we talked about the USPS guy that came out and it said like, oh, he recanted what he said and then he didn't and all that. They're the ones that broke him. They had the call-in number for CNN. Their morning call-in for their employees. This is what we're going to talk about all day, guys. This is how we're going to do it. This is what we're not going to talk about, guys. And he had it for 2 months and would join their conference call in the morning and record it.
Wait, why did he have their number?
There was a mole inside of CNN.
Wait, the guy that actually reported the
Yes, Project Veritas. His name is James
Really?
James O'Keefe. For 2 months, he sat in and listened to Jeff Zucker, the head of CNN, and his morning call-in with his people and recorded them every morning. And has been putting together and releasing the tapes of how they spin and lie about things. Like how they buried the Hunter Biden laptop, how they've talked about Trump through some of this, how they were like, well, we're not going to talk about this because we don't want to give this.
That's not a surprise. Like
No, it's totally not. But the way that they talk about it, it's like, okay, it's solidified. They really only have one thing that they want to say, and it's not news.
Or they have multiple things they want to say, but they don't want to say a even distribution of opinions and views.
Exactly, which is what journalism should be.
Or trying to be objective.
Yeah,
trying to be.
So they even talked about like when they were like, well, what we're gonna do is with Trump when he comes out, because this is right after he got COVID. They said we're gonna try to play it up so that he is still drugged up, and probably will say something about like he's on he's still has got some of the drugs flowing through his system, and he's gonna be a little bit crazy.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like whoa, that's not going and finding news. That's making shit up. Like you're making stuff up just to say what you want.
Really, that's wild. I didn't know that. Well,
it's bonkers.
I definitely agree, though. It's pretty clear that. Well, but I mean, what this is one of the most unprecedented times as well. So it's not surprising that we would see an unprecedented approach from media in different ways too, polarized as well.
Also interesting this week, George Soros.
Yeah.
he promoted the Smartmatic chairman. So Smartmatic is the software behind the Dominion voting systems.
Yeah.
He promoted that dude to the chairman of the Open Society.
What's the Open Society?
It's like his like global operations or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's interesting. Like, that's weird.
That's weird.
That's a little odd.
That's suspicious.
Yeah. Talk about sus.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Old Georgie pulling some moves.
Oh, that's one thing I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, tell me, because that's all. I don't got any other big
Yeah,
topics
that's totally
this
fine.
week.
I'll go back to this because this is interesting, and I'm still trying to like figure out the validity of this. I think some of it's valid and some of it's kind of like, you know, people are overplaying both sides. Is that there was so in Georgia, there was a guy who said, hey, he's part of a group. It's called like Voter GA or something like that. It's in Georgia, and it's like trying to like make sure that votes are done fairly. It's been going on for a while. He said, my precinct is not, the numbers don't line up to me, and went and helped and assisted with a hand recount. And when they did, they realized that 37 votes had flipped from Trump to Biden when they hand recounted the votes, because
So they were off by 37.
they're off by 37.
Okay.
And then they ran them through the machine again, and it did it again.
It was so the hand count was different than the machine count.
Yes.
So
And
How
it's
could
the
that
exact
be?
distribution that they keep saying they think they have it set to give votes from Trump to Biden.
whoa, that's fascinating.
Anyway, they wouldn't let him be a witness in that Thursday morning briefing or hearing with the Senate in Georgia. They cut him from the list.
Who's they?
I don't know. Whoever was in charge of who came forward. His name is like something Federico or something. He's down in Georgia, and he works in this. And they put out a report and said, this is what we did. This is how we did it. So the part that I haven't solidified yet is that they said that they have taken the machines in and whatever. But in Michigan, they did get 22 machines today that they've been working on all day, and they've been doing forensics on those machines to figure out exactly where they connected to, what they did.
Right, because they were able to subpoena those machines.
Yes.
Right.
And they keep trying to not in Georgia, but Sidney Powell, and she's one of the lawyers working down there, she said, I have a bag of shredded ballots in my room that they were shredding, and they're supposed to keep ballots for 22 months by federal law.
So what's that mean?
I
Why
mean,
is she saying that?
She's saying like they're destroying evidence as we're trying to look at evidence.
Uh-huh.
And they're not supposed to even be destroying the voting information for 22 months by federal law.
Who is doing it? Like, who's they?
We don't know. There's people following shredding trucks around, and I mean, there's
That
like
just seems like I don't know how.
So that was a company
Like-
came forward and said we got followed by someone, and they realized that they were shredding things for the voting centers. And they came forward and they said, we've turned all the information. We didn't look at the stuff because we can't look at it because it's considered classified information. So we just shred what they pay us to shred. And now they're being investigated because, and they have videos of their trucks
It's
pulling up
crazy that
to
people
the
could
voting center.
potentially get away with that sort of stuff, and someone can't get away with, not paying
Exactly.
$1,000 in taxes.
Yeah.
Basically, the IRS needs to investigate
It tells you
this.
something about our system.
Essentially, it needs to be the IRS. It needs to be this IRS investigates all this because they're the only ones that are
Can find those things.
truly that can find a penny.
Yeah.
A penny
But then,
in an ocean.
But then I will say, like 5 hours ago today, was it Pompeo? I showed you this tweet, so I didn't have it in my notes. But Pompeo, our Secretary of State, or
I don't think you showed me this tweet.
the federal Secretary of State, Pompeo. Yeah, I did, because he blamed Venezuela of having just today said you guys have a fraudulent vote. Did I not show you this?
No, you didn't show me this.
Okay, this is a big deal. I think I put it in here. Yeah, right here. Pompeo. Twitter, Pompeo, Chrome. Here we go. So, and then we'll get to shower thoughts and stuff because we're going to go too long if we don't. So here it is. Secretary of State or to the U.S. government, Secretary Pompeo. He said Venezuela's electoral fraud has already been committed. The results announced by the illegitimate Maduro regime will not reflect the will of the Venezuelan people. What's happening today is a fraud and a sham, not an election.
Oh, wow.
9 hours today, Venezuela. And where is all this Dominion stuff tied to, people? I'll tell you what the mainstream media will tell you. They'll tell you it's somewhere down in Georgia or somewhere down in Florida, and it's not. It's from Venezuela. That's where the base code comes from Smartmatic. The end.
The end. Questions? Who's got them? Couple of people.
Here's the big question, and we can sign off with this question and go to the fun stuff. The big question is this: if all the states stopped counting votes at the same time, who told them to? Because they did.
That's the question, guys.
That's the number one question everyone
question.
should be asking is, who told them to stop counting?
Probably Putin.
Because it's never happened.
Probably Putin.
Who?
The old Putin. Or whoever the president of China is. There you go. All right, guys.
Ski? It's like XI or something like that. Chi?
All right.
Chi Charger.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you
Today
hot
I learned
and fresh.
that Zach Galifianakis
Galifianakis.
had a 2-week trial run as a writer on SNL before being let go.
Who's Zach Galifianakis again?
It's the guy from Hangover.
Oh, yes.
It's a satchel!
He's hilarious.
Yes, hilarious. He had a 2-week trial run as a writer on SNL before being let go. Here's why. He wrote a sketch with Will Ferrell being the bodyguard of Britney Spears' belly button that bombed so bad in the writer's room that Tina Fey put her hand on his shoulder to comfort him.
That sounds like a funny skit.
I thought so
I would have
too.
loved that skit. Well, that's a bummer. I don't have any TILs. I just have shower thoughts.
Okay, go.
All right, first shower thought coming to you, ladies and gentlemen. And I've thought about this many times, and I think it's true. A compliment from a stranger is more impactful, at least to me, and touching than a compliment from someone you know.
I don't think that's true.
I feel that way because I feel like if it's
I think
somebody,
it would depend on what it's
somebody I
about.
know. So, like for example, let's say if it's somebody I know and they come over and they say, like if it's my neighbor and they're like, "Man, you got a great pickup. Man, you just got a great pickup." I feel like internally I need to be like, it's not that great a pickup. It's got this junk. It's got this junk. It's got this junk. But if someone like drives by me and gives me a thumbs up and says, "Hey," like, cool rig. I think, oh man, a random person that isn't trying to be nice to me.
But that's like depends on the situation. Because if what if someone came up to you and was like, "Nice ass"?
I would be like,
But if I said that,
you.
you'd be elated.
No. See, that's the situation. There's a lot more external factors when it's somebody that you know that's giving you a compliment. But if it's somebody that you don't know, then you're like, dang, that's really nice.
Rachel, she says, I can't believe that no one was like, hey, maybe we should have them stop counting at staggered times. Yeah. Nothing about this seems smart, guys, okay? Nothing about this seems smart. Okay. Anyway,
Anywho.
shower thoughts.
Shower thought.
You would be elated. That's
I would
the
be.
end.
I'm already blushing, I tell you.
Yes. Woo. The fact that having a criminal record makes it so hard to find a job is proof that no one believes that our U.S. prison system is about rehabilitation.
Very true. Very frustrating to me as well. That whole topic is something that infuriates me.
Yes.
I have a really hard time with that so many rabbit trails I could go on that. Speaking of that, you never think you're going to trust a meth addict with your life or your child's life until you're on a roller coaster at a local fair.
In Oregon.
At what was it? Worlds of Fun? What was that? The one that was by Enchanted Forest?
No, yeah.
What was that? Was it called?
No. It was Thrillville.
Thrillville.
Yeah.
Dude, I am shocked people haven't died or didn't die at Thrillville.
But I'm sure they did.
And it was just brushed.
There's no chance. There's no chance. Someone died in those bumper boats, drowned, and we never knew. Like
I'm sure.
They drained that every summer.
And
that's
the slide, the giant slide, the water slide. I don't know how many.
I think
people
someone did
get
die on that.
Massive splinters all
or
over their body.
the swing, the giant swing. How did no one get shot out of that thing?
Yeah, shocking.
Teenagers are in charge of your life.
Anyways, next one.
Yeah. Okay. Corn is the speedometer of your digestive system.
So true. Or spicy salsa.
Well, yeah, but it's not like tracers. You can't see it. You just feel it.
You feel it, though.
Yeah.
You feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it. One of the reasons some people are bad at parenting is because they only wanted a baby.
True.
That's so true. I know so many people that I'm like,
true.
Oh, you just wanted a baby, didn't you?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe the reason that we haven't been visited by anyone from the future is because human didn't last long enough to invent time travel.
That's an interesting thought. Because you have to think about, like, we're not in the future yet, but the future's already taken place.
Right.
So that doesn't make sense then.
No, I'm saying, like, maybe the human race died before we got to.
Well,
like, it's gone.
It would just that would just mean we are in the current future. We're the most future as it goes.
Well, no, every moment would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would be taken into account.
That's
it's a trippy way to think about
trippy
it.
one.
Yeah.
My last one for you guys.
Yeah.
You're going to enjoy it. Visually impaired people are the only group whose medical device is socially acceptable to use as a fashion statement.
The glasses? Wait,
yeah,
what?
Glasses. What other medical device is used as a fashion statement other than glasses? Masks now, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess masks.
Prosthetics?
Masks now. No,
they decorate them.
You can't use a medical device if you don't need it.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Wigs?
I don't know if I qualify that as medical device. I mean, because I don't know if I guess if you're a cancer patient. Glass eyes. There you go. Good one. Touche.
Yeah.
Glass eyes. That's a good one. Yep. That's good.
Okay, here's my last one.
All right, hit me.
This is one to think about on many different levels as we think about our current situation.
Okay, I'm thinking.
Potential fraud and whatnot. There are locks in a police locker room to prevent theft. That should be enough right there
to say
for us
humans
to say
are ridiculous.
Yeah. Locks are there to keep honest people honest, guys.
That's a great point.
That's what they taught us in the military. Lock your stuff up.
That's a good one. I like that one. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to Testing Normal. If you don't mind, going to Facebook or to iTunes, just giving us a little thumbs up if you don't mind.
Or share us so other people can listen.
Do a little share. Like us on whatever your platform you're listening to. Give us 5 stars if there's a star rating.
You can tell me if you want me to tag you when we're going to go live, too.
Yeah. We're always happy to have an interactive conversation with y'all. So hopefully you'll have a fantastic week, and we will talk to you later, y'all. Peace out. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
It's not working. My button's not working.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wait. What?
Pushing the wrong button.
Nope, I'm not.